Please comment if you think I got anything wrong. These schools will close at the end of the school year. The school board will vote on November 4th to close these schools at the end of this school year.
It's a 5-year plan, obviously. We're going to look at this every year. We'll approve a new 5-year plan next year. I think that's important for the community to know. But can you give the community, the public, a timeline? We sort of went over that a little bit in the meeting that we were in, but we're going to do our due diligence to look at what's going on in the communities when, not to give anybody any false hope, but there's a process for closing a school, and you have to go through those public hearings, and you have to do an the ACE meetings, and you have a lot to do before you get there. And every year that we're gonna go through this process every year. So can you just go through the timeline of what can the communities expect to see every year as we walk through, making sure that we're doing the best that we can with the taxpayer dollars?
So let me begin by saying that the board was very clear in one-on-ones a few weeks ago and in a workshop that we were not to circumvent the process related to the school buildings up for closure for the 25-26 school year. That we were expected as a community and viable members of staff as a community to work with our communities for the potential closures and host the consolidation meetings that are required by board policy. Those start with community meetings, both of the impacted school that would be closing, the consolidation school. There's follow-up meetings. That leads to a public hearing, to a vote, which you had originally set out as a timeline to try to get to that point by November 4th. That's why this plan is coming forward today. The other piece to this is timelines. Essentially what you are approving is a 5-year plan tonight.
Right.
But really what you're approving is a year 1 plan. Because beginning this spring, I'm required by board policy to come back with enrollment numbers, capacity numbers, facilities index scores, to look at year 2, 3, 4, and 5 to see whether those things still are the most appropriate things for us to be doing. And I want to encourage our families to know, again, that the schools that are aware of potential closure are the list of schools for 25-26. There will be no additional school buildings based upon any action tonight or any action on staff's part. We will not be adding any additional schools to the closure list of what we're already considering.
This is what they plan to spend in year 1 of the 5-year plan. You'll note that Englewood Elementary School says close, but you'll also notice that they're not projecting it to close until July 2027. So it'll be over a year before the school board will even vote on that closing. So if parents don't want it to close, plenty of time to speak up. And here's the schools that they're going to spend money on in year 2 of the 5-year plan. And you'll notice that Reynolds Lane Elementary School is mentioned as a close, but you can also notice that it's not closing until July of 2027. So it'd be over a year before the school board will vote on that closure, so plenty of time for parents to speak up. And then we do have Susie Tolbert and George Carver. The school board is voting on those 2 schools to close on November 4th. They'll be voting on that, and those schools will probably close at the end of this year. And here's the schools that will get some money in year 3 of the 5-year plan. You'll notice that Hidden Oaks Elementary and Annie Morgan Elementary are on this page, and those 2 are slated to close at the end of this school year if the school board approves that when they vote on November 4th. Here's year 4 of the 5-year plan. You can pause this if you want to read this spreadsheet in more detail. Here's the screenshot where it's saying that Don Brewer is being used as a swing space. This was part of the attachment to agenda item number 24 for the October 1st school board meeting. I will put the link to the attachment in the comments so you can see how the school board will be spending our sales surtax money for each of the 5 years of the 5-year capital outlay plan. Kings Trail, which will be closed at the end of this year if the board approves it, will act as a swing space and be demolished in year 11. That's the way I'm interpreting this. I'm confused about the magnet schools, the dedicated magnet schools. Am I interpreting this correctly? Please put your answers in the comments. So these are my guesses. GRASP will continue as is until year 6, and then in year 6, it will move into the Don Brewer building. And there's my next guess. Stillwell Magnet Program will move into Ed White this summer, and then Stillwell will be used also as a swing space, like I'm guessing Kings Trail will be used as a swing space. RV Daniels has already been approved by the board for closure, but what about YWLA? Is it on the closure list for a board vote? Is it going to be closed at the end of this year? This thing is confusing to me. Okay, if anybody knows, please let me know. This top part is the Ed White feeder program from the September 17th presentation. And you'll note the little blue blurb where it says Ed White will remain open and Stillwell will consolidate into Ed White, creating a 6 through 12 magnet program. I interpret that to mean that the military academy is going to be a magnet program, and Ed White will remain a neighborhood school but also have that magnet program within it. What do you think? Is that the right way to interpret this? And then down at the bottom is a screenshot of year 6, and it seems to be saying that Don Brewer will be used as a swing space from August 2025 to year 6. And then GRASP is moving into Don Brewer in year 6. That's just my guess. I'm not really sure. And I think that Stillwell will be used from a swing space from August 2025 to year 6 because they're funding the demolition of GRASP, the building that's housing GRASP and the building that's housing Stillwell. They're paying for the demolition in year 6. So someone else did this spreadsheet, and I want to give a big shout out to her. Thank you very, very much. But I'm going to show you a couple of pages that compares capacity and utilization for various schools. And I highlighted in gray the schools that will be closing at the end of this year. I did send my questions to school board member Charlotte Joyce, and if she gets back to me to confirm my guesses, then I will update this video. But take note of my question number 5. How did Charlotte Joyce talk Dr. Bernier into moving the Baldwin new build ahead of the Raines new build? The Raines people weren't very happy about it at the school board meeting on October 1st. I mean, they didn't say anything about Baldwin, but they were not happy that they'd been moved back.
Board policy now requires me to bring back the capital plan on an annual basis. An annual basis that takes in enrollment, capacity, facilities index scores, growth.
Please ask your city council member and your school board representative to institute impact fees. We can't keep taking money from our older school buildings to build new schools and new developments.